Welcome back to So Bad It's Good, presented by Betches Media. Today, I am so excited to talk to our guest. I met him and his husband at BravoCon this year, and I had seen their videos for so long, and it always brought me so much joy. I think this guy is just like a big, bright ray of shining light all the time, and he really makes me laugh. And on top of that, he loves housewives. He loves all of the stuff that we love, and I can't wait to find out how he got his start. You guys got to go check out his videos. His TikTok is at Print Fairy, but you know him by his name, the one, the only, Dakota Wright. Dakota, welcome to the show.
Hey, girl. Thanks for having me.
Hey, girl. Listen, how do you explain to people what it is you do? Because I will sit there and watch you and your husband, and you'll be eating at every known restaurant, like every restaurant known to man. What is it? How do you describe what you do?
Yeah, well, I'm actually in a really sweet spot because I don't really review food on camera and I don't really eat a lot on camera. I just go and get food and show people what I get. So I would just consider myself what they call a hauler. Like a shopping haul or something like that you do in a video where you just buy a bunch of shit and show your followers what you get. I do that with food. I mean, there are times when I eat and stuff, but that's not the bulk of my content.
But how do you even find out that this is something that people want to like that? I'm entranced by it, but how do you even find out that this is something that people enjoy seeing?
Oh my God, it was totally by accident. It was a trend that people were doing, McDonald's orders, and they would say their name and what food they get. And we just jumped on the trend in 2022 and, or 2021. I can't even remember. And everybody else stopped doing it. And we just kept doing it. So now people associate it with us.
I mean, it's just so interesting how your life can kind of completely take a different course of direction within a couple of years.
Yeah. Thanks to the pandemic.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, pandemic. Where are you located? You're in Charlotte?
Yeah. So I'm in a smaller town outside of Charlotte called Huntersville. But Charlotte's 10 minutes away. So the deep South is what I like to tell people.
Now, was there ever, now that you've gotten bigger and all that, do you ever talk about moving to LA or New York, or is it always a small town?
No, honey. So I went to LA last year for a month, and that about killed me. I'll never do that again. It would take a lot of money to get me to move out there, a guaranteed project or something like that.
Yeah, it's really different. I mean, it's really different in so many ways. And it can be, I live here and it can be completely soul sucking, but I've lived here for so long and all of my friends are here and there's so many good things, but it is interesting to hear people that are not used to LA come here. And it's just a completely different experience that I think you have probably made the right decision for now.
Yeah, for now, because, not to mention how much cheaper everything is in North Carolina. Oh my God. If you were to move to North Carolina, you could probably have 5 houses worth what you paid for yours now or rent now. Or, it's just insane.
Did you guys go to that Arrow one when you were here?
Yeah, the grocery store that has the water for $20. Yeah, that's crazy.
They have a Hailey Bieber smoothie shake and it's over $20 for one shake.
I can't be bothered with that.
Oh, my parents would kill me if they ever knew I spent that kind of money on a shake. I've only gotten it one time, and I was like, this is not worth $20.
That's why I stay at Chili's. You get the 3 for $15.
Yes, by the way, there is I grew up on Applebee's, Chili's, TGI Fridays. Mm-hmm. There is nothing wrong with that. And I love that you guys celebrate that so much. I did want to bring up, because you are a Bravo-holic, you've been watching Bravo forever, and I saw you at BravoCon. You were on that panel that I think Dave Quinn was moderating, who we love, and you got to reenact a housewives scene. How did that come about? Who did you reenact it with, and what was the scene?
It was so random. So the panel before that, me and my husband were sitting in the audience, and one of the producers, I guess, that throws together the panels came up to us, and she recognized us from TikTok and Instagram. And she was like, hey, we had somebody drop out of this panel. Do you want to do it? And Jackson was like, don't look at me. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Because he's more shy when it comes to everyday life. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And then literally in 15 minutes, she gave me the brief of what I needed to do. And I was like, okay. So she just said I would be paired with Garcelle and that we were going to reenact the Who Gonna Check Me Boo scene. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys killed it. You won
Yeah.
the entire thing, if I
I
remember
won those
correctly.
tickets. Yeah.
Yes.
And I already bought tickets for that show, and I ended up giving the ones I bought because the seats that I won were better. So I ended up giving the ones I bought to these people that I met that were really sweet. So,
I mean, how was Garcelle as an acting partner?
oh my gosh, she's amazing. Yeah, she's amazing.
I
And
mean,
we've talked a little bit like here and there on Instagram after that. And she's a great person.
how do you? Well, also, I want to point out to the audience too. I was going around looking at your videos and things like that. You got engaged like 5 years ago on Watch What Happens Live.
We
How did your
did.
husband arrange that? Because I've never seen that happen before or since. But it got engaged on what? Like, were you aware that was happening?
No. So we had planned a trip to New York, and I knew we were going to New York, and I knew we were going to be like doing dinners. We had plans to go to the Wendy Williams show.
Oh my!
RIP her
Oh
show. Love her
God!
so much.
We need her
Yeah,
now more than ever. Like
we
Wendy
really
Williams.
do. We really do. So we're on the plane on the way up there, and Jackson's like, I got tickets to Watch What Happens Live. And I'm like, how do you get those? Because you can't buy those. And he was like, don't worry about it. So I'm like, okay. And so, we go to the Wendy Williams show, go to dinner, and then we go to Watch What Happens Live. They film the show. And like, I had an inkling that was going to happen because like Andy kept looking at us, and like a lot of the producers kept looking at us.
You're
But
like, Andy's checking me out. Andy's like really checking me out.
Well, not really like checking out, just like
Yeah.
looking like, are those the two that are going to do the thing, And the show wrapped and nothing happened, and I was like, okay, well maybe not. And then it happened on the after show, and that was like the first part of the after show. And I honestly I was sober and I blacked out. I can't remember like.
Well, I mean, who can say that Captain Lee, Andy Cohen, and Kate were a part of their engagement?
Right. And Captain Lee is such a gentleman. Like, he came up and congratulated us twice, shook our hands, like such a gentleman.
I mean, that really is truly. Oh God, that's I love that so much. You guys can check out that video. It's on YouTube. I highly recommend checking it out. It was really great.
It's Housewives themed, and he he wrote his I don't know what you would call them, like your proposal. He wrote those like on the airplane, he said, which I did not see him doing. But my favorite is that he said he had Ramona eyes for me, and so.
Oh my God, dude. I did Jeff Lewis's radio show on Sirius today, and I had to host it with Jill Zarin. And it was like, so you get there, like the first hour, Jeff was like with like Emily and Shane Simpson from OC, and then the second hour was like me and Jill Zarin and Jeff. So I spent an hour in the green room with Jill Zarin, and can I tell you, I felt like I was in an episode of Real Housewives of New York. That lady does not stop. Like I would just be hey, I heard you hung out with Bethany the other day. Oh, I sure did. I'll text her right now. What do you want me to text her? What do you like? I was like, this lady just was nonstop.
Do you think that has led to her detriment of like ever coming back and stuff like that? Like how she's always like on, and people say she's a salesman.
I think, yeah. I mean, we were pushing her like rug line for Jill Zarin.
I have one of the rugs.
They're great,
on my patio, and I love it.
Oh, she was telling me like, oh, I've got this show in the works. I've got this show in the works. And yeah, I do think housewives get to a point, and this is a good entrance point to even talk about Orange County, where it kind of overtakes them and they become like stars in their own way. So their reality becomes about being salesmen and stars. And Jill very much seems like she knows how the mechanics of all of these shows work. So I think sometimes you don't want the person that knows everything. You want the person that is not, I don't want to say not smart enough, but like that shares their actual life for better or worse.
Yeah, I miss our golden era housewife. Like I miss that so much. Like
now, to you, what is your golden era? Like, what is your comfort like era of housewife?
I would say like okay, like peak housewives for me was like maybe 2009 to 2013 across all franchises. Like I feel like every housewife that came on every show was like super organic. Friendships were organic. Everything was organic, and nothing was like manufactured. Talking about Jersey now, and all the stuff that happens behind the scenes apparently. But yeah, that was like, I don't know. I really like Jennifer. I'm probably going to mess her last name up. Padronti. Yeah. From OC, because I feel like she's just showing us everything now. Yeah. And I like that. Like, I don't like it for her that she's like on a down right now, but I like that she's, being forthcoming with us.
And I really believe with Jennifer, like, because the big thing this week's episode was a continuation from last week where Gina she's in her real estate era,
Girl, shut
and
the
she's
fuck up.
like,
I can't stand Gina.
she's like, oh, I'm not doing it. I'm not going back. You
Yeah.
screwed me. Like, first off, if you are trying to get into a new business, don't like do favors for your friends at all. Like, take care of your business before you start doing favors for people.
Exactly. And not to mention, but I used to be a real estate agent. I still have my license, but I don't practice anymore because now I do social media. It's more fruitful. But I would never put my friends in a house. And even if I thought they screwed me over, I would never blab about it on national TV and to other real estate agents because nobody's going to work with you.
I
Like,
mean,
girl, I
Dakota,
know.
she used the
Yeah.
word squatter. She said that Jen was even Tamra was like, oh my God, that's even dark for me.
Yeah. Like, don't say that. So I think this is going to end up biting her in the tail and she'll have to find something else.
But we haven't seen Gina be this activated. I mean, forever. Like Gina all of a
Yeah.
sudden feels like she has somebody to pick on. And I think that's the game of housewives is trying to find out who's lower than you. And instead of helping them, kick them while they're down completely.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's wild, but like the golden era of housewives, and I talk about this all the time now, is that should these shows be on this long? Like we were talking about Jersey,
Mhm.
and I watch Jersey every week. You probably do too.
Mhm.
And there is this manufactured element that they can't seem to break free of. And then the goal becomes how much can we keep off camera instead of actually dealing with the reality of our situations? And I know shows grow and shows change, but I would love to go back to the days when none of these people were stars.
Yeah, yeah, so I agree with everything you're saying, except for with Teresa, because I feel like still, I love Teresa. I met Teresa. She's great. I don't feel like she can manufacture her own stuff, if you get what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't think she has it in her. And she doesn't have to. Like, she's given us everything, since she started on the show and has not turned away, regardless for the reason. But yeah, I don't like the way the other girls are being on that show.
I mean, I just don't. It's really uninteresting to watch, and there's only rare moments where I'm like, "Oh, this is good right now. This is good," but they don't seem to
Yeah.
be able to keep that up. But I don't know, like, how do you fix a problem like Jersey because it still gets good ratings? We all tune in, but I would always think you want to be super excited about watching a show and waiting for it for the next week instead of feeling you're watching something by obligation.
Yeah, and I do feel like that about a lot of Bravo shows now, but I'm dedicated to Bravo, so I will watch,
Yes. Yeah.
I'm dedicated, so I'll watch it all and make my verdict. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is a hot take. I think they need a new production company.
That's the other thing too, is that they do
Yeah.
have a handful of production companies that they go out to for these shows. And you're right. Like maybe fresh eyes
Maybe,
on something.
yeah. And maybe like, because they get comfortable with their assigned producers, if that's actually true, that they get assigned
Yes.
somebody. They get comfortable and then they get comfortable like hiding things and sneaking things. And I'm sure the producers are like, yeah, girl, you don't have to tell us about that. So I think it would be nice to get somebody in there because it is a business relationship. Like we're here to make entertainment. Like,
No, I mean,
yeah.
you nailed it. Kyle Richards talks about this all the time from Beverly Hills because she's been there since day one. And these people are like family to her. And
Mhm.
Kyle has shared a lot, but sometimes she's been able to keep a lot. I mean, last season almost turned out to be like Sutton's esophagus.
Yeah.
Sutton,
Oh God, that was a mess.
I really forgot the name esophagus all of a sudden, but like it turned out to be about Sutton's esophagus instead of like what actually was going on in Kyle's world, which was like complete turmoil. But I think she had a lot of help from producers that let her share just enough, but not anymore.
Right. And then this Netflix show comes out and we get more information in the first 2 episodes than we
Yes.
did a whole season. Like, which I don't like because, Bravo is known for giving us the tea on everybody. And I just hate that we had to go to a whole other network to watch it.
I mean, I think we're actually the kind of fans that are the same way of like, I bleed Bravo. Like I like Netflix, but no, I'm sorry. My reality belongs on Bravo. But at the same
Mhm.
time, it's like, I don't want anybody else talking bad about my family, but I will say that I don't approve of some of the things my family, is doing on the network. Cause I was like, we can
Yeah.
make this way better. We can build a better boat.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought we were making a right turn, keeping things fresh with the Ultimate Girls Trip, but I don't think we're ever gonna see that again.
But that goes to your point about everybody becoming stars. because
Yeah.
everybody's like hands out, like Bravo needs to take care of everybody now. So like if these people aren't making money or they're out of the show, they're all of a sudden looking how are we going to feed ourselves? And then
Yeah.
lawsuits become involved. And that's like,
And that's
I
a
mean,
no
that's
no.
well, that, but also like we want to like kind of be swept away in the insanity of Real Housewives of New York and OG. We don't want to think about like, oh, you're going to sue somebody for like sexual harassment or something. Like it gets really dark really quick.
Yeah, I agree. We gotta figure out how to turn it around because I think
Um,
there is a lot of good stuff left to work with and
yeah.
a lot of good talent, that's still undiscovered to this day. So yes, I do think these shows could go on forever.
Well, we just had breaking news before you came on, and I'll get your opinion
Oh,
on this because this is going to be a new Peacock show that I was like, oh, I heard a rumor about this, but I didn't know if it was true. And then we finally got the announcement today is that Peacock sets Real Housewives dating show spinoff with Countess Luann, Giselle Bryant, Shannon Storms Bedore, and Ashley Darby. So they are going to have a new reality TV series on Peacock with Bravo's biggest bachelorettes. They are going to film this September in Cabo San Lucas, where the women will be offered a diverse dating pool. And then the show will be sometime in 2025. Will you tune in to the
yes.
Golden Bachelorette of Bravo?
Yes, absolutely. I will tune into anything that they do, like I said. But I love Shannon and I'm excited for that. When I saw it, I was like, please tell me she's in it because I saw Giselle and I think Ashley and Luann were on the cover. And then you had to open the article to see the other people. But yeah, I really want to watch that.
Can you imagine seeing Shannon Storms Bedore on a string of first dates in Cabo?
I am Shannon Storms Bedore, so yes, I could.
Wait, how are you Shannon Storms Bedore?
So
What do you love about Shannon?
okay, so I have this thing, right? And I'll be super quick. I'll try my best. So
No,
I
you
have this
don't be
thing
as
where
long
like
as you want.
where I don't like a housewife at first, and the real reason why I don't like them is because I see myself in them. And I don't want to confront those issues, right? And so Jackson said my husband says that my big personalities that I'm like to a T of are Candace Dillard, Bassett, Shannon Bedore, Teresa, and a little bit of Leah Black from Miami.
Oh yeah, of course.
OG,
Leah's a
yeah.
legend. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And he says I can get a little bit like Sonia when I drink. And I'm like, yeah, I can see that.
you don't wear underpants, and you just like
Yeah, and I
yeah.
start stomping on glass tables and
I mean, I'm totally here for that. Well, see, Shannon is a perfect example of what we were talking about before too, of somebody that can't help but be themselves.
Yeah,
Like,
she's 100% herself.
and that's why I think we root for Shannon, even though she's made so many mistakes, like a lot of us do in life. And this last one, very serious. But like, I really root for her. I support her. And this season, what is your take? Because for me, it seems like it's like a gigantic like fear factor of what can Shannon Bedore withstand? Like it's like how much does it take to completely destroy Shannon Storms Bedore?
Yeah, I think it's Shannon's season, honey, and it's Shannon City. I know they like to say that like Heather Dubrow's the queen of it, but I got to give it to Shannon. Like since season 9, like she has brought us a lot, and I think it's no different this season.
I want her to realize how powerful she is. And
Yeah,
the thing is, even if she really fully did, she wouldn't ever use it in a way somebody like Tamra does. Tamra, to me, is such a strategic housewife. And I know she's provided a lot, and I always say her character is essential. But like, man, even this episode, she was making fun of just Shannon like moving and like, oh,
yeah.
she's gonna be like, when she's like going for like the ball. And I'm like, dude, like take a break. There's got like it just feels like a bully at times.
Yeah. Tamara is a little bit of a bully, but we do need her to drive a storyline, and we do need her. She's a Lisa Rinna of Orange County. We need it. So,
But okay, well, Lisa Rinna, what was your take on Lisa Rinna in Beverly Hills? I always thought legendary housewife and still remains a legendary housewife, but I felt like she lost the plot in the last 1 or 2 seasons where she became a caricature of herself and it was almost like a dog with a bone that never, like it just became unrelenting instead of like showing us more humanity and mixing that in. I just
yeah.
thought it became almost unbearable for somebody that started off like legendary.
Yeah, so I'm curious if you feel the same way I do. I think she lost the plot when the season with Eden Sassoon was on there, and Lisa Rinna had an opportunity to really like come together for sobriety with Kim and Eden, and instead she just kind of like threw it both in their faces, and
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's when she kind of lost the plot. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Well, that's why like it's very strategic of like taking somebody's weakness and then just stepping on the gas instead of like slowing down. Or even like this week's OC episode, they're playing this like touch football game.
Hmm.
And, if everybody was so worried about Shannon's drinking, you would think that, they're out there having margaritas on the beach, like during like an afternoon, like touch football game. You would think they wouldn't even do that. Like, I think
If they
support.
really cared, they wouldn't. Yeah.
Exactly. And instead of that, then they just talk about how many times John Jansen and Alexis Bellino are having
God.
sex.
I don't want to hear his name ever again. So can we can we
You don't
talk
want to hear
about
Johnny J? Johnny
no,
J,
he's
baby.
I almost would rather have David Bedore back on my TV with those
Oh.
scary fucking eyes just glaring at us. Like because John is awful and he was awful. I think they keep doing flashbacks when he like chewed out Emily or Gina one. I did not like him after that. I was like, come on. Like yeah.
Well, how do you have like, and I'm also getting confused with Alexis because they said Alexis was in talks to return even before John Jansen. But so far, 3 episodes in, Alexis's only storyline is John Jansen. There's nothing else happening in her life, and that is confusing me.
And I mean, she has a lot going on. I mean, I've been following her the whole time she was off the show.
Her mom passed away. She dealt with that.
Her kid is part of the LGBTQ plus community, and she's an ally apparently, which is something none of us expected. Watching the show when she was with Jim. So I think she's missing her opportunity. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's like you do you get paid by how many times you mention John Jansen? Like, do you get $100 every time you say his name on screen? Because
if Andy hasn't made that a drinking game, he needs to.
Well, also like. Isn't it funny how like these women are all fighting over this John Jansen, and then they're fighting over bragging rights of who owns the Quiet Woman? Who owns this restaurant, the Quiet Woman?
Nobody does. Have you been? Have you been yet?
I went one time like 7 years ago, and it's a lot tinier than I thought it would be.
Honey,
you've been, right? What was your experience?
So I went 3 times last summer, and because I loved it. Like, and I had things to do in Orange County, and I was like, hey, it's here. Like, let's just go to dinner here. I loved it. It's very small. There ain't nothing quiet about it. People are screaming. You got to go through the kitchen to get to the bathroom. Like, I can't remember what season it was when Kelly's yelling at Shannon.
Oh God!
In that hallway. That's literally what it looks like. The food is fucking phenomenal, and the drinks are phenomenal. Do you know much about like the beauty guru space at all?
I mean, look at me. Not a lot, lot, Dakota.
Well, it's drama and tea. So, Jared Blandino, that used to own Too Faced Cosmetics, was there. One of the times I went, and he was like yelling and screaming about something with whoever he was with. And I mean, his face was plucked so tight, like I could have tossed a quarter at him and it would have bounced off. I mean, and I was like, is this the experience at the Quiet Woman right now?
Like the Quiet Woman seems like it could be just haunted and just bad things happen at the Quiet Woman.
Yeah.
Because like everybody, I mean, listen, if you
I've never seen so many blondes.
Right? If you went there the right night, you could have potentially been John Jansen's new love. John, because that's how Alexa says, like, me and Johnny J were just there on the same night and you couldn't deny the electricity. And I'm like, God, maybe they just turned down like the heat in that place. Who knows what it was? But I mean,
it's a great restaurant.
I'm curious if John Jansen will actually appear on screen this season.
I don't know. He always looked bothered to film. If you ever picked up on that, like before, like he was always irritated in his scenes. I didn't feel like he liked the cameras being there.
But Dakota, if he says he was embarrassed by Shannon and the whole TV spectacle, wouldn't you also be embarrassed by somebody going on and saying that you're having sex 4 times a night?
And why are you dating another housewife or another person who has some kind of notoriety?
Like, yeah, I mean, it's just all It's all so weird. And to me, that's what makes Shannon even more sympathetic, where you want to empathize with her because you're like, dude, this is like, think about it. We've all been through a bad breakup, but then think about having to film a TV show and then having that ex all of a sudden date one of your cast members on that same TV show. And we get to document it. Like, that's nasty.
Yeah. And we did it before with Slade. Like, what is it about Orange County? What
It's a
is it?
dark place, even though it's the brightest place ever. Great
Yeah.
restaurants, but it is wild.
Is the dating pool that small there?
It's
Because I
got to
feel like
be.
it can't be that small because it's bigger in Charlotte.
There's got to be like 20 guys, and one of those guys was John Jansen, and now he's potentially off the market.
Yeah, we think. Wait, I'm
um,
curious. Okay, what's your
yeah.
favorite franchise of all? Like of all the US ones?
Of all the
And
God,
it could
it
be current,
changes.
past, total,
Like
just
for
anything.
at first it was Beverly Hills,
Mhm.
but that was back before it got really boring and then it got good again. But like OG Beverly Hills with Kim and Kyle, like when Kim was going through that stuff and she was dating that dude and there was like drugs involved
The
and like,
dog. Yeah.
yeah, all of that. So like
Yeah.
that was like really, even though I really loved OC as well. But then it switched to Potomac about 5 years ago, or like during the pandemic. I finally got into Potomac, and I was like, oh my god, this is what everybody's talking about. This is
Mhm.
amazing. And then Potomac fell off for me a little bit last season, but they were like the gold standard. And then of course, God, there's so many good ones. And then of course, OG Roni, the way that they
Mhm.
would talk over each other, and I always say you could watch an episode 3 times and just focus on a different character and you would hear new things because they all just talked over
Scream.
each other. Yeah, brilliantly. I don't
Yeah.
know. There's so many great. I mean, what is yours?
Well, I would say looking at every season, accounting for every season, I would have to say Atlanta. Like that, I will stand firm on this. I think Atlanta and New Jersey built Bravo Housewives to be what it is. You
I
know,
mean,
like
yeah.
earlier seasons of both shows. And I find it very sad that both shows are not anywhere near as good as they used to be. And right now Beverly Hills is my favorite.
But I think I think the celebrity at like Beverly Hills will also always have a little bit of celebrity just because it's in Los Angeles. But I think the celebrity element really ruins and takes things. I'd rather watch people on the come up rather than people that are already there.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily find it interesting talking about brand deals on a reality show or who has what or who I don't know. But like Atlanta was so interesting in those first seasons. I mean, because you got like we had never met anybody like Nene. We had
No.
never, but at the
Yeah.
same time, then Kim provided
Never
a
met
great,
anybody like that.
yeah, Kim provided this great counterbalance. And you have to go back and watch these seasons. And when you do, I always say it's like you're watching like a documentary that's like would be nominated for an Oscar compared to what it is today because it looks so realistic and almost gritty.
And this is super random, but we're just talking about the evolution of
Yeah.
housewives. I miss confessionals actually in the housewives' homes. I
Oh,
don't want to
instead of the
see
green screen.
the
Yeah.
green screen. I miss it, like, when you could hear like stuff going on in the background. I know from a production standpoint, it's better to do the green screen. It's probably cheaper, but I miss it when it was actually in their houses. Like it
We,
just felt real.
you know what I miss too
Yeah.
is I miss the little interstitials that had nothing to do with the plot. It would be like they'd come back from
Yes.
break and it would be like a minute goofy scene and then they
Yes.
would go back to commercial. And at the time, I would always be like, oh, enough of this. And now I miss it dearly because it's like, oh, I want just that nothing to do with the actual storyline with two characters. I was watching old episodes of Jersey a couple weeks ago. And that's the other thing I miss. And I don't want to say, guys, I don't want to think we're bad mouthing Bravo because
Not at
obviously
all. We love it. We
we
love
both
it.
love it dearly. But this is like I was watching an old scene of Joe when he was still with Teresa and
Hmm.
Rosie, and they were getting hammered, and they were around Gia, and they were just like Gia was doing her homework, and they were just you could tell they were drinking buddies, and they were just talking about state capitals, and it was the most like nothing was happening, nobody was fighting, they were just like two
Yeah.
like loaded on scotch, and I said, this is brilliant, like this is so good, and it's so funny, even though they're not trying to be funny. I don't know. Like I miss things like that. Almost everything is so elevated and so story driven that I sometimes don't know who these people are anymore.
Yeah, and speaking to your love for Potomac, I think Potomac, even to this day, is such a great show because those women are so like real and relatable and funny, and I think they're all friends deep down. Like Giselle and
Yeah.
Karen, we know they're kikiing together right now. Like you know, they're good frenemies, and we all have frenemies like that. And I, yes, no, we're not bad mouthing it at all. I love Bravo, and it has provided me so much joy and obviously a lot of opportunities. So.
Um, I want one more thing about Jersey, and the audience hears me say this all the time. Do yourself a favor, you guys. At some point, go back and watch the christening episode, which was
Oh
like the
God.
season premiere where Joey and Melissa get introduced. And I'm telling you, it's better than any gangster movie that you'll ever see. It's better than you have Teresa involved. Like it's a perfect hour of television. It really is.
hmm And I feel like we haven't gotten that since the Beverly Hills premiere of the last season, because I feel like that season, people on Twitter don't like Beverly Hills. I don't know why. I think every season is like fire. I think it's great. They're always giving it to us. So I'm ready
Well,
for it to
Twitter
come back.
Twitter doesn't look on the bright side of anything.
Never. And I'm like, come on, guys. Like, this is some of the greatest television we've ever gotten.
Yeah, no, it really, I mean, I loved the season premiere of Beverly Hills. I like Beverly Hills got really interesting in the last like 3 or 4 seasons for me. Before then, it was like the Michael Bay of Housewives where everything was glamorous and glossy, but like we didn't really see like real things happen. And then the Tom and
Mhm.
Erica stuff happened. Like all of these like things started crumbling. And I thought, oh, this is really interesting to have all of this out there and see how these ladies deal with it. And especially the Erica Jane stuff really fascinated with me because, somebody that really you could tell loved having wealth and being taken care of. And that
Mhm.
was like the name, that was like her whole character. And to
Mhm.
watch that get ripped out in the way that it did, and to watch her reaction to that was just really interesting. Like, what is your thought on how much true crime and law now is involved with Housewives?
I mean, true crime and law is involved with everyday people, so I think we should see it on the show. If it presents itself, don't run from it. I think we should see it. Like, because I think Erica could have just said, "All right, I'm done. I'm not filming. Yeah, I need the money, but I don't need it." And I think whoever encouraged her to stay, if she needed that, I think was probably the best decision they could have made.
Well,
And whoever
listen,
casted Sutton was the best decision.
oh my God,
Like,
Sutton.
I love for Sutton. Like, I
We got
love,
a
love, love
Sutton
her.
cameo in OC this week, you
I
guys.
know.
And she's like, I wouldn't go against Heather. I'll say, like, I mean, Sutton is another person that is so uniquely herself that
Mhm.
even that's what you want. Somebody that is so uniquely themselves that they'll get themselves in hot water and you'll still kind of celebrate them because they're just being real.
She's quirky, and they wanna call like, people wanna say she's weird or she doesn't fit in, and I'm like, I love that about her. Like, she's just as posh as the LA girls, but it's a different kind of posh, and I like to watch that interaction, between the 2 different kinds of posh. It's just great. It's great TV.
Two different types of, well, yeah, and also I don't, but my big pet peeve, and this is with Shannon or Sutton, is that when the other ladies think that they can look down on you. Like that's, I
Yeah.
felt like Sutton's got that a lot, from Rinna, Erica, even Kyle a little bit, where they thought she was easy to push around or we can gang. Because Housewives to me is just a game of hot potato. Like who has the hot potato and are they willing to hold the hot potato? Like Kyle always wants to give the hot potato away, but everybody has
Always.
to hold it at some point. And how does that? And I think if you really are one of those people that gets pushed around, you gain so much favor from the audience that
Yeah.
we grow to love you. So almost it's horrible in the moment for them, but in the long run, these are legendary characters in the end.
Yeah, and I think, a lot of housewives have spoken to about how, like, seeing themselves on TV is very therapeutic. I think if a lot of these housewives would just let it go and just, like, be their authentic self, then they would find it to be very therapeutic, and the response from the viewers would be really good.
But I was thinking
So
about the psychology of that. It's like it's hard for us to be ourselves even in our actual lives without cameras. Like we
mhm.
put on so many fronts and we're worried about how we look and how we act and how we sound. And I mean, I know I'm not strong enough to ever be on a reality show. I
You
would
don't
I
think
would die.
so?
Oh no, because Dakota, they would find the thing that you hate the most about your personality. And the sad thing is they'd find it out within the first 5 minutes. You're like, oh my
Mhm.
God, I've tried to hide that for years. And the audience discovered it within the first 5 minutes.
Mhm.
And I think it's a certain type of person that is built for that. And I think one of the qualities, and I do think it's a quality, is you have to be really oblivious.
Hmm.
And I think that can be a quality. Los Angeles is full of oblivious people
Yeah,
where
1000%.
they push themselves forward even though they don't have natural talent. But if they keep pushing and they don't listen to any hate or it doesn't register, they'll eventually get good at something. Like the whole
Yeah.
thing is just hanging in the game.
Yeah, you got a good point.
So, hey, what do you ever dip into like Vanderpump or Summer House or any of that stuff?
So I do watch everything except for Summer House and Winter House. I do not watch that.
Wait, what is the what's the hardline stance there? You're like, oh
I just
God,
don't.
I just
So I liked when I remember when Summer House was announced. I was super excited for it, and I think I vaguely remember like some kind of commercial being edited between the drama with Carl and his guy friend that was on there, and about how they were like
oh yeah,
speculating his sexuality.
sexuality.
And I was like, we can't keep doing this. Like, the women do it to each other's husbands every season on every show, a lot frequently, and I just don't like that. And so I think that's why I never started. I know that's not, that I don't think the guy's on there anymore now. So I probably should
Oh
give it
yeah,
a chance, but
Steven was the guy I think you were talking about, who was
yeah,
the gay cast member, and he's not there anymore, which is ridiculous. Like, I mean, we
we
need
need more
gay
gay people on
representation.
Bravo.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like it's so easy. It's right there. Like
Hmm.
and by the way, we all have straight friends, we all have gay friends, we all like it's reality in these days. And like
Yeah.
why a show like that needs that. I completely agree, but you dipped out of that, but Vanderpump Rules you
I
do?
I do watch that. I did not watch Southern Charm until I met Patricia in Charleston, and I
Miss
promised her I
Patricia.
would watch it, and so I went home and binged it all. So now I'm caught up on that.
Wait, what's the story where you met Miss Patricia?
So one of my friends knows her, I think, hairdresser, or one of her staff members. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
connected us, and we went and just had champagne at her house, and it was very fun. And she's very gracious. She's just like she is on television, off of television. Like it was a fun experience.
That's I mean, she has some of the craziest house decor that is like everything is like antique and beautiful
Just a
and
hodgepodge of
regal.
everything, yeah, and we
I
love
sh-
it.
oh, I mean, she's amazing. She called me one time, or like she DM'd me and said, "Hey, can I call you?" Because I had done a Southern Charm recap, or
Hmm.
somebody we were talking about Southern Charm, and she took umbrage with what my guest was saying about Whitney, her son. And this was around Christmas time, and I was like, "Is this a prank? Like, is this real?" And then Miss Patricia gets on the phone, and I got it. I mean, had a delightful
Hmm.
conversation with it, and we were talking about moms. We were talking about, and at the end of the day, if you strip away all the TV, she was just like a mom standing up for her son and being protective and also being proud and going, "Do you know Whitney? He's a producer. He's this, he's that." And,
Yeah.
and I was like, God, this reminds me of my mom so much.
She's very real, and I didn't get any like phony vibes from her at all. Like, and then like I said, I didn't watch it, and then I went back and watched it because I promised her I would. It was the same person. Like, I felt like I was hanging out with her. So it's always refreshing whenever that happens.
Wait, what did you think going and watching Southern Charm? What was your overall vibe or opinion about that show?
To me, okay, so you know how Dallas and Miami, I think, were casted as like not housewife shows, and then they
Yeah,
became
they
housewife
started off
shows.
as like Potomac started off about like party planning, and
Yeah,
then
like something like that.
ended up slapping the Real Housewives logo on it.
Yeah, so very early on in Southern Charm, I got the vibes that they tried to cast it for Housewives and it didn't work out. I don't know, maybe it's where Cameron like played such a big part
Role,
in
yeah.
yeah, but and then I get caught up on it and I'm like, okay, it's more about the friend group and how they interact. I mean, I liked it. Catherine has a lot going on apparently and still does. Because
Yeah.
as I'm watching, I'm like, okay, well maybe she's like taking this big change in life, and then I think as I'm like on season 5 maybe or something is when
Yeah.
the DUI stuff came out, and I was like, oh, okay,
Well,
yeah,
and she's not on the show now, and
yeah,
she's one of those
correct,
people that I worry about in terms of I mean, I worry about her, but then I also worry about like, oh, is she going to end up like being part of Bethany Frankel's reality reckoning? Is she going to be well, because if you
mm,
think about Southern Charm, it started off in such a weirdly dark place because it's basically this older man, Thomas Ravenel, who's after a very, very, very young woman. So the power dynamic is so messed up, but that's like a Southern gentleman kind of thing.
fortunately it is like it's very common down here to date super young for straight
Yeah.
couples, like even in Charlotte. I mean, maybe not as southern rooted as Charleston, but it's very common. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the show. I think I mean, it's good TV. I get caught up reading blogs and stuff, and then I read that people weren't happy with it. And I'm like, why? It's great TV. I am a little shocked to see that they didn't ask Olivia back. I think she just
Me
did.
too.
Yeah, because I feel like she again gave everything she had to give to the camera. So I don't know why. I'm not the inner workings of it. So
Well,
I
I
don't
think,
know.
but also I think it's like I said after the Olivia, her not being asked back, you cannot argue that that is not a male-driven show. And I think why you have all these great female stories. It's led by like Miss Patricia. You have Madison. I thought Olivia was another flavor. And if you
Yeah.
don't have Olivia, that's already dated Austin, realizes he's kind of like a bad boy that's going to hurt her feelings. You kind of need that counterbalance because you have Craig, Austin, Shep, Whitney. You have all of these like boys that kind of rule the roost. And in reality, the female characters on that show have sometimes provided the best moments.
Oh, they absolutely have. And I think Patricia should be the one narrating it now. And I think she should have
You're
been to
right.
begin with, like, because I could listen
You're
to her
right.
talk forever.
I'm so now you're like, I wonder why Madison's narrating instead of Miss Patricia, because that
Yeah.
would make so much more sense on all fronts. Because here's somebody, by the way, somebody needs to do a documentary on Miss Patricia because of all
Agree.
of her loves, I mean, she was with royalty. I mean, she's been everywhere. She's experienced everything.
Mhm.
Well, in terms of like men and bad boy behavior, Vanderpump Rules is kind of rules the roost on bad
Oh,
boy
for sure.
behavior. What is your take on Because I went back and I've started rewatching season 1 of Vanderpump for my Patreon, and I'm shocked. It was 2013, and I'm shocked by it, but at the same time, I'm shocked by how little has changed. And obviously we are coming off Scandival. What was your take on all of that mess? Is it just boys being boys, or is there something darker at play?
Um, I don't know. Okay, so I think it's really weird that Jax, even from the beginning, is the age that he is and acts the way he does. I think that's really weird, and I think he deserves for himself to go to therapy. He needs to do it for himself. But
He,
yeah, I
he'll
think it's,
he'll only say he always says he's gonna go, and then even in the Valley this season, he's like, "Oh, it's too far. It's too far." I like.
he needs to go for himself. He'll be doing himself a favor, and then everyone else around him. But no, I think Vanderpump Rules was one of those situations. Like great TV, super organic people. I think now Sheena is probably a lot of people, she's very polarizing, I think, from what you read online. But I think she's still one of the original, like, very real characters that will, like, just give it to you the way it is, and give you herself and it's all. I don't really understand why Scandival blew up the way it did. I'm very much of the thought, like, sadly, people get cheated on all the time. I think Tom's an idiot for doing it, A, because Ariana's gorgeous. B, you're on this national TV show and you never thought it was going to come out. Like, how dumb are you?
Well, I
Like
think
that.
but I think that's why it blew up because A, I think he is that dumb. And
Yeah.
B, I think what was fascinating was that he thought it wouldn't come out and that he could play it all in this
Just
certain
dumb.
way, but it was
Yeah.
all dumb. So of course it came out. So there was all these elements with Rachel, the other person on the cast who we already had filmed a season of people, including Ariana being her like champion. Like she's
Mhm.
great. She's amazing. And all of this darkness was behind the scenes. And I think that's, like going 10 seasons, 11 seasons into something, you're like, wait, how are you still doing the same exact behavior that you were doing in
Doing with
season 1?
Kristen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Oh
early
my God.
on.
Yes.
And had the audacity to paint her like a villain. I mean, she is great television. We'll word it that way.
Yeah.
But I mean, he painted her a certain way early on, and I think some people still look at her that way. But yeah, I don't know. I think Raquel's dumb or Rachel's dumb, whatever she calls herself now, because she's a gorgeous girl and she
Yeah.
chose to get mixed up with that. Like, I don't
Well,
know.
but you can see why though, because he appealed to her ego. He
Yeah.
said, "None of these people understand you like I do. You're magical, babe. Like you don't understand." Like
Yeah.
if somebody's like telling you that, like, and you need to hear that, that's going to create some kind of need and desire, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting about Rachel though is that then she goes and won't be back on the show, but she does a podcast breaking down all of these things, and I'm like, girl, just be on the show.
Just be on
Just
the
be on the
show.
show.
Yeah, I don't like that. Like, I don't know. I feel like you can't. Well, they can do whatever they want, but I get frustrated when they give us a lot and then they have the opportunity to give us more and they pull back. I don't like
Yes.
that. I don't like that because I feel like if I were on TV and because I would do reality TV, and I feel like if I were on it and a lot came up, which I don't know what could, but if something did, I would just own it and keep it moving. I don't know.
I did have that to ask you if you would ever consider, or you and your husband would ever consider being on reality television, because I think at this point you had to have been approached.
Oh, I have, yeah. So I've been approached by several different producers. There's a lot of factors that go into it, apparently. TLC producers have reached out quite a few times, but I have no interest in going on TLC.
Yeah, you have to have like a gigantic like backwart to like have a show. Like it's like
Yeah,
they will give shows to pimples.
or I need to like hate myself. I don't know. And I don't know, and it just depends on the project. I did have somebody that wanted to like try to put together something like Southern Charm in Charlotte, but with gay people. And then
hell yeah.
the Friends of WeHo came out, and then they were in talks with their friends at networks, and the reception was not there, which I totally get, because that was a poorly edited show.
I feel like, though, with you, it's like you're already kind of this proven entity where people love you already. People are aware. So it would be interesting to take a peek behind the curtain, but it's got to be that right thing. And even watching Vanderpump Rules from season 1, the thing that I keep getting impressed by is that there are so many things that had to line up for that show to work. Like even after the show started filming, they didn't know Jax was cheating on Stassi. They didn't know they were going to film a breakup. They had no clue. So all of these things, like right place, right time, all of these things had to line up to launch it, because when it first came out, it wasn't like all of a sudden it was a hit. It like grew and grew and grew. And I think these days, I don't know how much we're letting anything grow, or like even Dubai. I'm watching Dubai still. And I really like Dubai as kind of not a throwback Housewives, but I think there's some really good stuff in it. And I noticed not a lot of people are like hopping on the Dubai train. And I'm like, that's sad.
It a chance, yeah.
Well, because I feel like Potomac, everybody came around by the 4th season. Like they had given 3 great seasons. And then the 4th season, people really started, like so many people were talking about it. I think you have to let things grow. And I don't know if, we're in a society that lets that happen anymore.
Well, I think we're in a weird place where people are like, do we do live TV or do we do straight to streaming? And they don't really know how to like gauge, ratings, success, all that kind of stuff. Because the producers that have reached out, some of them were just straight to streaming, and then some of them were just straight to live TV, and both. And I don't know. I mean, I'm open to it, but I think the network has to make sense, and because I'm not gonna like show my ass on television. I'm past my Jersey Shore days, because I used to act like that when I was that age.
Dakota does GTL, Gym Tan Laundry. Let's do this.
I used to act like that when I was that age, and I think certain networks encourage that kind of behavior, like MTV and VH1, and that's just not authentically me. So I would have no interest in going on those networks.
Would you have any problem getting into it? Like you say, your husband calls you, oh, you can be a little Sonia, you can be a little this. Like, do you scrap a lot? Not you and your husband, but like, will you get into it with people?
I really never fight with people because nobody ever tries to fight with me. But in the times that I have, I have no problem confronting like my friends and stuff on things that need to be confronted on. Yeah. Because I can call a spade like super quickly. I feel like I'm very intuitive and I'm really good at picking up on stuff. So it comes natural to me.
Yeah,
but yes, I can be a bitch for sure.
Okay, good. So all the producers listening right now, he's got the bitch in him if need be. But also those are the most powerful people, the ones that are like super nice, super kind, and then if something happens, they'll call a spade a spade.
Yeah, and a lot of the feedback that I did get, this is just like a random piece of information, is that a lot of networks are worried what to do with influencers and content creators because we're so used to like filming ourselves. They're worried that if somebody else is filming us, that we're going to be like manufactured. And I'm like, oh, not at all. Like, please take the burden off of my husband from having to film me all the time, and I'll still be the same way. Like it would work out in our situation. Like it would probably make me act better. I don't know.
Hey, do you have about 10, 15 more minutes? Are you still
good? Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm having a great time. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I could talk all day long.
Okay, good. Because I'm like, oh, this is such a good conversation. I was thinking about like influencers and reality TV, and like you said, like, do you have because you do influencing now, even though that was never something that you had planned on doing. is there a right way to actually include influencers into reality? Like, where is this headed? Are like we weakening the overall brand of reality TV because now we go on TikTok and we focus on so many people's lives that are 24/7 instead of waiting 6 months to have a show filmed, edited, and then launched on Bravo?
I see what you're saying. So yes, I think that does kind of dampen reality TV because it makes for speaking in terms of housewives. I think when we used to not see housewives fight on social media, and then we'd see it in a preview, we would get all hype and excited and everything. And now we're like, oh, that was 4 months ago. We already saw
Yeah.
that. Like the Kathy thing in Aspen when they were filming Beverly
Lisa
Hills.
Rinna. We were talking for
we
like
already
5
saw
months.
that. Yeah, we already saw that. So yeah, I think you have to be crafty with your selections. Like me, like I post all of my life on social media, but a lot of it's like very much so like centered around food. There's other layers to me, obviously, that are not online. So I think somebody like me would be a good choice versus somebody that's like super, super big and polished. And I don't think you would get anywhere with that.
Yeah, no,
I mean, I do have a large following, but I'm still true to how it was before I had a following at all. If that makes sense, I haven't really changed. I don't think.
I think the only, and this wouldn't be with you, but I think the only bad thing would be then if you present yourself a certain way online, and then we watch a reality show, and it turns out that person is a monster, like a complete monster.
Yeah, or not as funny, or something like a polar opposite, not what you expect. I think that is a genuine concern. I mean,
listen, I just watched a full season of that Gypsy Rose Blanchard show on Lifetime. Like I'm watching literally people that come out of jail.
I'm hooked.
And
you should have her on.
Oh my God. I wish. She's too big. She's too, well, no, can I tell you that we almost had her on, and then well, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm going to go, they said she goes rogue a lot. So they didn't feel comfortable because she's on TikTok so much, like, and being so open about everything that they like sometimes are worried about what she's going to say in interviews. And I thought, wow.
Well, I guess in her situation, if you're on parole, it does matter if you go rogue or not.
It kind of does. I mean,
yeah, so I get it.
imagine coming out of prison and your life is more dramatic than it was in prison.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's like her and what's this other girl, the Hawk Tua girl. They are not doing a good job monetizing platforms they're being given. Like I don't know. They're flopping. They're flopping.
Well, I feel bad for the Hawk Tua girl specifically because she's from a small town. Like managers from LA like hopped on her and thought we can monetize and help her monetize. And you can tell she's like a decent person. And
totally.
she's out here doing like brand deals now and all of this stuff. And she's trying to be kind and she's trying to do all this stuff. But then I saw her like she was at like a music festival like a couple days ago, or she came out and then all of a sudden nobody was clapping for her because who knows why. But like in my head, I was like, wow, yeah, because we move really quickly. Like Hawk Tua, like how long is that supposed to last? You've got to actually show something else. And Rolling Stone did an article on her and they called her the influencer like Dolly Parton. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. Like, I mean, like, get the fuck, like she seems like a nice person, but you do not call her a Dolly Parton type.
What does anybody know her for other than Hawk Tua? Like that would be like if I did my first video that went viral and then just stopped. And then like never did it. Like I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And then people like wanted to know more. And that's how I've ended up where I'm at.
And even her, that was like a happy accident where she's on like drinking with her friend, having a great time. It's not like she can keep going into videos saying Hawk Tua, like the surprise is gone. Like there's not, I mean, it's weird.
It's a viral moment. So I always say, and to any influencers or content creators watching, going viral is fun, but I would much rather have like steady substantiated content than going viral just really quick and getting tons of millions of views and then nothing ever taking off again. I don't ever want that to happen.
Do you ever find yourself, or did you ever in this whole journey find yourself a slave to the numbers or the algorithm of like, oh, this didn't do as good as that? Like, did you ever have that experience?
Yeah, especially in the beginning, because like it's such a high whenever your first video goes viral and then you keep doing it and each one goes viral and then you start doing more, like diverse things and then they don't do as well. And you just have to do what I call shit posting. Just post whatever you want, curate it just a little bit, and just hope for the best. That's what I do.
Yeah. No, I mean, and obviously like just don't let anything get you down. Well, how much do you deal with? I mean, and you're, I don't know if you would deal with a lot of this because you seem so positive and so fun. Do you deal with a lot of hate at all?
Oh God, yeah, all the time.
Really?
Like the
Really?
number one comment people are leaving right now. So you know who Pookie and Jet are, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Explain to the audience, though. Explain for the
okay,
audience.
so Pookie and Jet is the girl that's like, okay, we're going out to dinner, and the husband says, Pookie, you look absolutely fire. You're wearing a happy dress or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure you've seen them. Just look up. I think her name's Campbell or something like that. But anyway, so you know, she was going viral for her outfits. Me and Jackson have done outfit videos forever, but not like that. So we did one just like that. And every time we do one just like that, they blow up. And the homophobes are like, I don't know what it is about those outfit videos, but it sends them over the edge. Like the comments I'll get will be like, could you imagine if this person was fighting in the war for us right now? Or what happened to men and all this stuff.
Oh
And then
my
I go to their
God.
page and I'm like, if I look like that and posted those things, I would be saying the same thing. So I get it. So I don't let it bother me. In the beginning it did, but if you think about every confident person you've ever met in your life, confident, not conceited, they've never said anything bad about anyone. You know, and if they have been jealous of someone, they've owned it. There's nothing wrong with being jealous of somebody. And confident people are not going to leave negative comments on my comment section. If they're not confident, I don't need to listen to them.
I say that all the time. Of like, that's the thing is that if I start thinking about it too much, I get really sad because you have the comment, which is mean and potentially sad, but then you start thinking about what's behind that comment of like, I've never, like, I'll come on this show and I'll say really hard, strong opinions about reality TV people. And I'm fine with that. Like, to me, that's a separate reality. When I meet these people, it becomes a different story. It gets a little weird for me, but then like I've never like gone on to somebody's page and been like, "Oh, you look like shit." Like I would never even think to do that, and that's what
Yeah.
scares me is that we have all of these people just like I'll sometimes go on Twitter and see those replies and then I'll be like, "Oh, well, let me take this down the rabbit hole," and you'll go to like that person's account and you just see it's a wall of them doing it to everybody, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is like their hobby."
It's sad because, like, if I see something I don't like, I just keep it moving. I scroll,
Yes.
yeah, and I'm like, it takes less effort for me to just scroll than it does for me to leave something hateful. You know?
Oh
And
my
what
God,
good
have
is
you
that
ever?
gonna do?
Oh, comments are one thing. I'll sometimes open a DM or get like a email or something that like will literally turn like it'll be a whole page of like a whole thing where they've thought so much about me or
Mhm.
something that I've said that I'm like, oh my, like where you legitimately get scared. It's not even sad. I get
Yeah.
scared.
Yeah. So I don't know if you saw my Instagram the other day. This lady sent me a message and she was like, how dare you ignore me at the stoplight? Me and my daughter were waving at you. And I was thinking, girl, are you serious? I didn't even see you. I was too busy driving. And I think that's what I said back to her. I was like, are you for real right now? Like, I'm looking forward because I'm driving a vehicle. Sorry, I didn't see you.
They have their phones out. They're driving as well. They're just completely looking at you. Yeah.
Like, girl, like, and so I get stuff like that all the time. I get people telling me to kill myself all the time. I mean, but I know for every negative, like for every one negative thing I receive, I get like 200 nice messages and comments. So it's worth it to me.
Yeah. No, I think it's just I have like I've been sensitive since I was a little kid. So I don't know how I would I don't know how you do what you do. And like cause I was thinking it was all positive and I gotta realize now it's the internet. So of course it's not all
Oh,
positive.
just
Of
scroll through
course
my
it's not.
comment section sometimes, and I clap back at people too. Like I have no problem.
Well,
You were
see, I'm not
asking
good
if
at
I,
that either. I don't
yeah,
know how to clap
no,
back.
You were asking if I go back at people. I'm like, absolutely. If they come for me first, then it's fair game.
Oh my God. As we wind down here, what's the big plans for the weekend? We're at a Friday night. Do you have to film a lot of content this weekend? What are you guys doing? Are you
Well, honey,
gonna
I got an
chill?
injury, so I'm
Yeah,
staying
what is this
home.
injury, by the way? I was reading this on, and you told me about it. I can't even pronounce it. What is going
So
on?
I had a cyst in my wrist, and then I had it excised, cut out. So I can't really do much with my right hand. So I will be staying home,
This
catching
is
up
like
on all my.
Sutton's esophagus is your cyst
Um,
wrist.
so
Cyst wrist.
somebody actually said on Instagram that Dorinda in season 8 had a cyst and it was cut out and she had a bandage on her arm. So I need to go back and watch that episode. They were like, you and Dorinda are sisters. And I was like,
Cystisters. Yeah, sisters. Yeah.
literally, yeah. Yeah, but
So you're just
nothing.
taking care of this.
Yep, and I'm gonna catch up on RuPaul. They have the finale tonight, which Twitter's already ruined it for me, but it's fine.
Twitter already ruined and it's not I'm not even a huge Deadpool Wolverine fan, but like I went on Twitter
Yeah.
and they like dropped all the surprise cameos and then my brain picked up. I was like, "Ah, damn, I don't even know if I'm going to go see that movie, but now it's ruined."
Yeah. And we didn't talk much about this, but I'm hoping maybe this weekend or maybe next week we'll get the Salt Lake City trailer because I've
Oh
been
my
seeing a lot of
god.
talk about that. I love those
I
women too.
I mentioned that a couple weeks ago that I knew it was coming, but I thought it was going to be this week. What a great last season of that show. And I'm like, that's a show that really continues to like take off. And what was your take on Monica Garcia? What was your take on Reality Von Teese?
Um, I think she should still be on the show because I think she should have to own what
Agreed.
she did, and if she really wanted to be friends with them girls, I think they should give her the opportunity, and all that. I think it's funny. It's kind of immature. I love Angie K. I met her at BravoCon. I loved her on TV. Met her at BravoCon. Me and her talked for 30 minutes in the
Did
VIP
you know
room. Like,
did you know she's Greek?
I did, yes. Yeah. 'Cause you know why? Because she said, "Oh, you do videos," and she said that Electra watches my videos, her daughter, and her family owns some kind of a Greek burger place in Salt Lake City. I can't think, Crown Burger. And she was like, "You'll have to come up here and do a video with me." And I'm like, "Okay, girl, I will."
Dude, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. Like about 10 minutes ago, I was like, "Oh my god, I would love to see a series of you like hanging out with Dorinda, of
Oh
you
my god, that
hanging
would be
out with
so
like
fun.
because
I want to
by the
get
way,
them
you
in a
had
food
great
video.
chemistry. You had great chemistry with Garcelle. Like, why don't
Mhm.
you like? I mean, like your business, but it would be so amazing because you can like open up to anybody. I think those would be so good, and then you could have like 5 questions that you ask during the meet. Like, I mean, it would be perfect.
Yeah. Well, not to, knock on wood, not to ruin anything, but me and Luann have been talking, and I think the next time I come to New York, she's going to do a food video with me. So,
Okay, I'm hosting Jeff Lewis next week with Countess Luann, so I'm gonna bring you up and I'm gonna
please.
say, where is this video? Yeah,
And if she says, "Who is that?" I'm a blocker because we've been
no,
talking.
this will be perfect because they usually ask me who's on my show, so I'll say you, and then I'll say, and
I
we were
love
talking good
her.
things about you.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it?
I know. I love Luann.
Isn't it cool to see like how she's stuck with it and like even like the shows and stuff like that? It's kind of building and it's really like she was overseas, did this music festival, and so many people were there to see her sing.
Yeah. And I would pay to watch her sing. Yeah.
I've seen her 3 times live. I've seen her more than the Grateful Dead. I've followed her around and she gets better every time. It started off as a joke. And then by the last time I was like, I'm kind of enjoying the actual show of this.
She's performing, and that's what we all get tickets to see. We want to watch her perform. It doesn't matter how good she sings or how good she doesn't sing. She's performing.
Oh, dude, you gotta do. Oh my God. I think that would be perfect. But back to Salt Lake really quick as we wind down. The Angie K thing is great, but like Heather Gay, I mean, you talk about camp. That last episode where she has all the ladies on the beach. The lady is Reality Von Teese. It was so camp and so like dynasty drama, and it was like edited perfect. Like that episode. Like I'm shocked. Like Vanderpump Rules got nominated for an Emmy and Salt Lake City didn't, and I was like, that
Mhm.
last episode deserves an Emmy.
It so did because there was so much love for it online too, with like the editing and Meredith's little like shawl over her and like like it was just the whole thing was great. Like, yeah.
And that season we had, oh man, I hope, like, I don't want to encourage anybody binge drinking, but that one episode in Palm Springs with Meredith when they were at Trixie's
Oh my
motel,
god,
when Meredith was
yeah.
like, you can leave.
I went to that restaurant when I was in Palm Springs this year.
Was
It's
the
so
waiter still there?
I didn't look, but we sat near where they were sitting. That place is so small, and that TV made it look so big. That place was
That's
a
the thing. They make
hallway.
Quiet Woman look big. They make Sir look big. Like real
Yeah.
life has nothing on
Mm-mm.
how beautiful television makes everything look. Um,
Literally.
what did you think? What do you think about Heather Gay? Because I feel like she's been through changes throughout the seasons, and she just announced her second book called Good Time Girl that will be
Mhm.
out in December of this next year, which means that I'm sure her storyline will revolve. Well, because it'll be out right around the time Salt Lake comes back on the air.
Yeah. No, I love Heather Gay. I think she's great TV. I don't like the way she handled the black eye and the way she tried to pass it on to production. And I'm so glad that Andy and the producers checked her for that and made her own it. And then I'm glad she apologized because that's not cool. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
the
And
production and Andy are giving you this platform and that's how you're gonna thank them.
Well, that's to our point from like when we started this conversation is that when they start like producing and becoming a star, and she's especially a Housewives fan. I read her book. She's
Hmm.
been a fan of these shows from day one. So you want somebody that'll still be themselves and not try to manipulate storylines or hold information. And we've now like she's done it a couple of times, like back in the Jen
Hmm.
Shaw days when she was like, "Oh, Jen, if you want us to like talk about something else, just throw it over to me and I got it." It's like, no, let let it
Just
rip.
let
We
it
want to
happen.
hear.
Yeah, just
Yes.
let it happen. Yeah.
I'm really curious to see what her evolution from this point on is. Well, Dakota Wright, you are, like I said at the beginning, I'm so glad you turned out to not be an asshole because you are just a ball of light. I couldn't have had a
Oh.
better time with you. I hope you had a good time. Thank you for spending so much time with us today.
Yes, I had a great time. Have me back soon because Southern
Dude,
Hospitality is filming and they're about to start airing. So,
well,
and
that's what I
I
was going
know
to
that
say.
cast. So,
Anytime you want to come, you are a rebooked guest immediately. This was a
oh,
blast. And I'm coming to Charleston for a wedding in October, so I'm actually going to get to go to Republic, and
oh, you'll love it.
I'm going to try to meet Miss Patricia and see if like I really want to spend. I've never been to Charleston, so I'm really excited.
Yeah, well, text me and or DM me or something. I'll give you all the recommendations
Yeah,
too.
no. Dakota, what do we need to pay attention to for you? We've got the TikTok print fairy. We've got the Instagram account. There's also a link tree, which I'll include, which has like product codes, all of this stuff.
Yeah, podcast
Also,
episodes. This one will be on
yeah,
there.
yeah, your
Yeah.
past podcast episodes on others. If you really enjoy them here, you can go check them out on other shows. Would you ever think about doing a podcast?
I would love to, but I'm such a boomer. Listen, I love when it comes to like technology that I need somebody to just come set it up for me and I'll pay him the fee. And then if it's set up, I'll do it. So
That's
yes,
me
I
on
would like to do
TikTok.
it.
Like
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, edits. Like I don't want to do these flashy. Like I get like
Yeah.
nervous about that stuff.
Yeah. No, but the Instagram is at Dakota Wright. I post my daily life all the time on stories. I film pictures, everything. Even if you just want to talk, DM me. I'm always here. I live my life online. So
Well, you guys know I'm horrible at DM, so do not DM me. DM Dakota. But I just tell you, thank you, dude. You always bring a smile to my face. So I'm so happy that I got to talk to you today, and I can't wait to have you back on.
well, thank you for having me.